And hi, I guess we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in this talk back on The Pitch, a short film that was recently released on Vimeo and co-produced by three of Singapore's leading theatre companies, Wild Rice, Pandemonium, and the Singapore Repertory Theatre. Hello, welcome. My name is Janice Koh, and it is my pleasure to be your host and moderator for this evening. I have had the privilege of working with these three wonderful theatre companies as an actor and an advocate, and I also sit on the board of Wild Rice. I'm also one of the co-founders of Pasar Glamour, a social initiative that raises funds for charitable causes, including theatre and the arts. So tonight, I'll be talking with the three stars of The Pitch, Ivan Heng, Gaurav, Kripalani, and Adrian, as well as director Ken Kwek. And if any of you out there have questions or comments for us, feel free to type it in the comments section below, and we'll try to answer them as we go along, okay? Before we dive in, and as we wait for more viewers to join us, allow me to share a little bit about these three companies, starting with the Singapore Repertory Theatre, or SRT for short. So SRT has been presenting critically acclaimed West End plays and Singapore musicals for 27 years now in Singapore. 27 years, I couldn't believe it. That's how long they've been around, and they are especially well known for staging the much loved Shakespeare in the Pub series. And under the leadership of Gaurav Kripalani, the company has also embarked on several high-profile international collaborations, including the Bridge Project. Many of you may know Gaurav is also concurrently the festival director of the Singapore International Festival of Arts. And on to Wild Rice. They are one of Singapore's leading English language theatre companies, well known for presenting the best of Singapore theatre. And over the last 20 years, Wild Rice has been developing new Singapore writing and producing original works that not only entertain, but also inspire and challenge their audiences. It was founded by the wonderful award-winning actor and theatre director Ivan Heng, who also happens to be a cultural medallion recipient, if you don't already know. Last year, Wild Rice broke new ground by opening its very own independent performing arts space in the heart of Singapore's cultural and civic district. And last, but certainly not least, is Pandemonium, the youngest of the three theatre companies. Pandemonium has made it its mission to tell stories and to tackle issues that are vital, relevant, and question the status quo. Over the past 10 years, they have developed a strong audience following through their compelling, high-quality productions, and as a platform for nurturing new theatre talent, they are definitely the company to watch. Pandemonium was founded by the powerhouse couple, award-winning stage and screen actor Adrian and director Tracy Pan. So, these three theatre companies hail from three different decades of Singapore theatre. And 2020 has been that pivotal moment that has brought all three of them together. And as we all know, since March this year, due to COVID-19, live performances and theatre venues have had to shut down, and many theatre companies have had to cancel most, if not all, of their 2020 season, and possibly even beyond. And this has brought about significant financial losses for many of them, and also severely impacted the livelihoods of thousands of theatre freelancers, not only those working on stage, but also those working behind the scenes. In the last 6 months, Pandemonium, Wild Rice, and SRT have reached out to each other for mutual support and have also bonded through the crisis. So what has been the result of all this bonding? Well, apparently it is a film. The Pitch is a 20-minute short film that presents a cheeky, moving, tongue firmly in cheek look at how the pandemic has impacted these three theatre companies and how they've had to work together to not just make art, but also make peace. And if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to do so. You can watch it on the website, thepitch.sg. And I cannot promise you that tonight there will be no spoilers in the dialogue, because we'll be speaking to the three stars of The Pitch, Ivan, Gaurav, and Adrian Pang, and as well as co-writer and director Ken Kwek. And if you have any questions for them, just put it up in the comments and we'll try and take questions as we go along. Before I bring them on though, shall we take a quick sneak peek at one of the scenes in The Pitch?
Gaurav!
Tracy.
Gaurav.
Adrian.
Ivan.
Tracy. Adrian. See, you've been working out.
Please. Who's got the time, right? So, Gaurav told you the plan. We're all good?
Absolutely. Except now Tony and Ivan would like it to be a three-way co-pro.
What? Come on, Ivan.
And no hair acting.
Hair acting.
The grant barely covers our staff wages for a month. Now we have to split it 3 ways?
Oh, and Wild Rice doesn't have a staff to pay? Look, guys, please, listen. Let's not start like this. Think about what we're trying to do here. Adrian acting with his face and body, Ivan circling the square, squaring the circle. Our 3 theater companies coming together for the very first time.
It could be quite special.
It would. Great. Equal split. 1/3 each. Deal?
Yeah, but 1/3 each is only... It's only...
I'll work it out for you later, hun.
Deal.
A deal. Deal.
Ken Kwek calls them the 3 Corona Goes. Please welcome, joining me, the award-winning trio Ivan Heng and Kripalani. Hello, hair actor.
Hi.
Hi, Ivan. Hi, Gaurav.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for spending time with us tonight to talk about the film. Congratulations. I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed all your performances, and I loved how you really went out there, no holds barred, took the mickey out of each other. But Tracy stole the show, yeah? So since this talkback has been marketed as a no holds barred conversation, our audience at home and we are all ready for an all-out pitch fest, yeah? And we'll be taking questions. We'll be taking questions from everyone who's viewing at home, but maybe I'll kick it off with the very first one, the most obvious one, which is, why this collaboration? What brought the 3 of you together to make this film? Who wants to take that? Adrian. Oh, Adrian, since you were one of the co-writers, how about that?
Yeah.
Well, as you rightly pointed out, we had gotten together in the early days of this crazy time back in March, when the 3 companies, together with a few other theatre companies, had shows either running at that time or were about to open. And the 3 of us got together to try to find out from one another what were the best steps to take in order to best protect our cast, our crews, our teams, our staff, as well as the public. We wanted to make sure that we were following all the right measures in order to take care of everyone. Because on a daily basis, there was a real threat of each one of our shows having to close.
I remember that because I think at that time I was doing Lifespan of a Fact, and I remember you had a sort of promotion going on, right? 15% discount on tickets if you bought a ticket to another show that another company one of your companies was doing.
Yes, indeed. I mean, we were very careful to make sure that the audience and that the public knew that if they were to want to come to see our shows, we were taking every measure necessary in order to make sure everybody was safe. And so we reached out to one another to try to take advice from one another, and from there we kind of formed an unofficial kind of bond or alliance, really. And from then on, after Circuit Breaker kicked in, we just continued with these kind of weekly get-togethers on Zoom, just to commiserate and to whine at each other and to bitch about things. And try to really show each other support. And before we knew it, we were doing this co-production together.
Misery loves company.
Why a film? Why this film?
Okay, so I
How did this idea come about?
So it started off with like, okay, we after this we started like doing the discounts. Then we said, okay, we need to meet every Monday because the health advisories were coming out every Friday. So it's like we had no weekends because every Saturday and Sunday we were figuring out how to deal with the new restrictions and moving from full house to 250 to 50, and then basically to the closure of theaters. And we were starting to send each other. I think I sent the first set of cocktails, and then I think Adrian and Tracy sent the next one, and Gaurav sent the next one, and then after a while we said, look, this is too expensive. Let's just drink on our own. Mix your own drinks. But we were laughing a lot, and we said, actually, what we're doing is really so extraordinary because we were laughing a lot, and we would, before this time, I mean, we were just really in our silos, working hard. In Singapore, you just put your shoulder to the wheel, and you're working hard to try and reach out to your audience in the show. But the response for the audience to the joint discount was so great. We thought, oh, okay. And we were laughing so hard at these Zoom meetings at the ludicrousness of the situation. We thought, oh, we should just record our Zoom sessions and edit them together and put it up. And then, of course, the digitalization of theater does not work.
Also, there were a lot of things we were saying in the Zoom sessions which probably shouldn't get out of it. We should stay between the three of us.
I think at our core we just thought like these. I mean, the digitalization of theater is not as effective as creating a piece of digital art work which is created for the screen. I think we just somehow or other came to agreement that it would be something short and sweet and compact, and so we started to think and talk about it. And I think Ken Kwek, Alfian Saad, no kidding.
There was a question from somebody who said, how much wine was consumed in the making of this project? A lot, I suspect.
We should have been sponsored by some wine company.
And there's another question from Benedict Leong. What is the most enjoyable thing about working with each other? Come on, Gaurav, you can't wait to answer that one, eh?
You know what it is I think it's echoing what Adrian and Ivan said. I think the most enjoyable part of this is, for me at any rate, it's just been so often you're doing it on your own, and it's so nice to actually have friends and colleagues who are going through what you're going through, and you have people who become a sounding board who you can say, should we do this? What are you guys doing? Is this a terrible idea? And people who will tell you, yeah, that is crap, don't do that. But they mean it in the best way, and they mean it because it's good for all of us. So I think the best thing for me out of all of this has just been, it's really just been the friendship that's grown, and to be able to have a good laugh. I mean, honestly, to be able to find that 1 hour, especially at the beginning, where we could actually laugh amidst everything falling apart was really cathartic, and that to me is the best part.
I think just following on from that, because as we all know, this pandemic has been a very isolating experience for everyone in all sorts of different ways, and where we've been distanced from one another through the last 6 months, to varying degrees. So for us to be able to have come together in this way, first of all through Zoom on a weekly basis, was a way really to have that kind of human contact, even though it started off through this screen. It was just to have that human connection and to feel a little less alone. And I think at the end of the day, if there's a so-called message, if you like, for this film, is that, as some wise people have said, we may not all be in the same boat, but we're all in the same storm, and we're all riding out this storm together. It really was us three companies in this way, giving each other a little bit of a pat on the back, a bit of a well-needed, much-needed hug to say, we're all in this together.
So I'm looking at the comments, and Sean Ghazi is asking, so were there any real diva tantrums?
Miraculously, no.
No. It was such a, it's terra nova, you see. It's really like, so as much as this virus was completely, new territory for all of us, so was this work, right? And I think that the best kind of collaborations come about when you come bringing, you don't arrive at a collaboration bringing your full self. We were not complete. I don't think that we were all just exploring this complete new ground, and therefore there were really no, like, you can't really bring your ego to something that you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so it was that kind of situation. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
One of the things that we were all conscious of, as you said, Janice, this all started, we all had closing nights of our respective performances within days of each other, and restrictions being put in place. And it's not just us, it's just all the people that are working on those shows, and we're worried about all of them. And the next part of those sessions, drinking sessions, was we all had shows coming up. And what do? We want to make sure people are looked after and they're not out of work. And how much do we pay? And how do we look after them? And do we postpone? Do we cancel? It's like all those things were combined. If you look at what the three of us had on slated for the next few months, that was a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, when the three of you got together to do this co-production, I was thinking, well, there are quite a number of theatre companies out there too who need, some mutual support and to form part of this alliance. But I also realized that of the various theatre companies, actually, Pandemonium, Wild Rice, SRT, you do hire quite a lot of staff. And for at least Wild Rice and SRT, you also run venues of your own. So the burden, the financial burden is to continue is great, beyond just sort of doing shows. And of course, there's a lot of work that you do with young people, with children, in education. So there are just lots of different people at different levels that you're hiring, and everyone's affected by the shutdown. So
one of the other good things that came out of this was, beyond just the three of us, there's now a WhatsApp group with several of the arts companies in Singapore, which in itself was remarkable, that everybody was sharing information and coming together to work with NAC on how do we go forward. So one of the silver linings for COVID is really that I think the arts community have come together and rallied together.
So, I can see lots of questions about the film, and we will get to them. We might hold off a few of them until Ken Kwek comes on. But for now, I know the three of you at the beginning of the year had a whole, your plates were full, right? Gaurav, you were going to deliver the final year as a festival director of SIFA. There was a whole program lined up, Pandemonium, you're celebrating your 10th year. With some amazing main stage shows, and of course, Wild Rice, you were just about, to take off the first year of your new theater and to finally stage the Singapore Theatre Festival in that new space.
Yes.
How have your days, all three of you, how have your days changed from what you were expecting to do this year? What do you do now with your team?
I'm just jumping in real quick. I mean, for Pandemonium, I mean, it was really a matter of taking it day by day. We very quickly realized that live theater was going to be something that we were not able to plan for and produce for the foreseeable future. And goodness knows when we will be able to go back to that, because things haven't changed that much in the last 5.5 months. But once it kicked in, it became very apparent to us that we had to keep on engaging, not just our team creatively. We also had to keep on creating work to engage the public. We streamed a bunch of our past productions. We made a music video with our theater workshop youths. We kickstarted in a huge way our education arm, conducting all of these digitally and online. And then, obviously, as we've slowly opened up into this strange new world again, we are in little ways managing to slowly open up this work. But only in the last couple of weeks or so, we've kind of turned a corner and realized that we have to find ways to really crank it up and up the ante. And we're having to embrace this whole digital domain, like it or not. If this is the way we have to.
Yeah, and I know what Wild Rice, Ivan, you've been doing quite a bit of that, and that the team has been doing a lot of work in the theater, but filming. So everyone has had to pivot, right, in order to get some engagement with your audience.
Yeah, I mean, we even played bingo with our angels. So we did a session. I mean, the whole idea of grappling with this new medium has been so interesting, because when we decided to put on the best of our shows for free, it wasn't so simple as just streaming. I mean, we had to basically get them subtitled. We had to upgrade them to high definition. We had to understand the various platforms like YouTube, and we've had 9 conversations like this. So it's been a big kind of pivot as to how do we kind of reach out across this digital media to do the work we do. And right now, what we're doing is, I tell you, our team is working harder than they've ever worked. It's incredible. There's 25 of us in the staff, and we are working. Everyone is working very, very hard. So a question. The pitch, for example, got all the teams working together, and right now we're filming and preparing for the Rice Ball, which comes up in 3 weeks' time. Yeah. So we started filming and preparing for that too, and fundraising. Yeah.
And Gaurav, how about for SRT? I mean, or rather also speaking about the challenges that you face as a company, or the three of you face as a company, what are some of those key challenges? And I think there's someone on the comments have asked, have you gotten the support that you need? Whether or not it's through, government or sponsors, your audience? What has been the situation to help you out, to help your staff and your team?
Okay.
Ivan has a point of view, but I asked Gaurav.
The first part of your question, what's shocking is how much time we all spend on Zoom calls. I mean, considering theaters are closed, the number of Zoom calls we're on is really, really surprising. But yes, I think it's the same. Our teams are working really around the clock delivering content. I think SRT started off with Chronologues, which was the first produced content for this period, and now we're looking at we've done a stage camp in Mandarin. We've got various programs happening online. So I think all of us are adapting. The big transition, I think, is when this started, all of us were, no, we are a live medium. We don't do things digitally. That's not what theater is about.
So there is some resistance, right?
There was resistance. I think we've all come around to the fact that this isn't going anywhere in a hurry, and we need to pivot or we stink. And we're all figuring out two things. One is, how do we deliver content online? And how do we engage our audiences in new ways? And we're also now working with, as you saw, NAC has announced that they're going to trial shows for 50 people. So we're all looking at what we can do with that. But a 2-person play with 50 audience is a loss-making proposition. We will all do it. We'll all figure out how to make it happen to support our team. But I'll give you an example. The play that we're looking
can you put that into just sort of basic numbers for us? Because everyone's gonna, I think the layperson or even myself, when we say it's a one-man show, how is that not feasible financially?
I'll give you just one number we have. So we're exploring doing Tuesdays with Maury in November, which will have to run for a month. So we have to double the length of the run, because if it's 50 people, you need 50 shows just to get 2,500 people. But for that duration, we have an $18,000 cleaning bill to sanitize the theater before and after every performance, and to put in place all the safety measures to make it safe and for audiences to feel comfortable. That's just the cleaning bill. Forget electricity, front of house, production costs, set, actor fee, staff costs. It's a expensive proposition.
I think that the thing is, this is just a way. This in no way is income, is making us income. It's really it's a stopgap measure which basically keeps us in, to just continue engaging with our audiences and the public to tell us we are here and we are waiting. We're holding space, and that we hope that you can also hold space for us as we're going through this very, very tough time, because there is no income. There hasn't been income since we all closed since March 23rd. And you like when we were streaming shows, right? So the reality is we've had close to 600,000 views on YouTube. But when we started, and Emily itself had 150,000 views, right? But then when we went to Earnest, in which we started charging, and this is, I think we had something like 300 people buy a ticket, and that's not because of anything, but because the rest of Singapore has opened up. So if you were to go out, you see restaurants full, right? People are out there, and even, they're going to church, they're going to the mosque, they're going everywhere, but the theaters are closed. So I think that, this is what we are facing at the moment. And although a pilot is being rolled out, I don't understand why SRT Theatre has not been included, and why Wild Rice's Theatre has not been included in the pilots. Because we were there handling DORSCON Orange, right? So why is it there is this kind of paternalistic, management of venues to say, and likewise when they said venues could be hired out, it's only the government venues that were allowed for filming. So what is this about? You know, we too are responsible. You know, I mean, we too manage venues. So anyway, I mean, it's just one of those things that we've come to kind of accept and then try and roll. We are rolling with the punches, so to speak. We really are rolling with the punches. Yeah.
I think today it was announced that we are welcoming MICE events, and that these conventions, or meetings can hold up to 250 people in a room. A lot of them might even be, from overseas. What do you think about that? And does that mean, does that sort of like throw a positive spin to the possibility of performing to bigger audiences? How do you feel about that? I mean,
it's a start. It's a start. We got to start somewhere. I think it'll be disingenuous and hypocritical of us to sit here and go, oh, that's not good enough. That's not good enough, or that's, because some measures are being made. You got to make it somewhere, and hopefully the trickle down effect will touch us in the live performance arena soon. At the moment, it's we're just waiting. But as I've been saying as well, we can't just sit and wait. And if this pandemic has forced us all to do one thing, it's to adapt and to evolve. Ironically, Pandemonium's theme for this year, 2020, was evolution. And who knew that we would plunge into this year being forced to evolve in ways we would never even ever have dreamed of. And so, here we are, we're in September already. The year has been, you could say it's been pretty much a washout. And we just got to make the rest of it count somehow. So we have to adapt. We have to find ways to keep being creative. Otherwise, we die. It really is survival of the fittest here, unfortunately. So right now, I mean, in line with everything everybody else is saying, we are, Pandemonium is embracing this whole digital beast, wrestling with it and trying to make it our friend. And we're actually in the midst of rehearsing for an online piece of theater, which we're going to release in October. So it's all an experiment. It's all untried territory for us here. So we're just hoping that the public will be willing to be part of these little experiments together with us as well, so that we're all evolving at the same time. Because there's a saying, it might be a loss-making endeavor to try out these experiments. But hopefully with the public's support, be as adventurous as we are trying to be, we will not only, these won't just be experiments, they will be something that the audience and public will get something meaningful out of as well.
I think from what I've seen online, at least, and the way the pitch film went viral very quickly when it was released, suggests to me that people out there, our audiences, they do miss coming to the theater. They were very moved by the ending of the film, and at the end of the day, I think we all crave the physical connection, the very tactile connection of being in the same space together. Even tonight, thinking about the little talkback that we're doing right now, I was like, God, do we really have to do this on a Zoom kind of platform? I mean, I crave the kind of camaraderie and the ability to just sort of like quickly, riff off each other in person with an audience that can just put up their hand and ask a question. And it's very painful for me even right now as I see all of you on really small screens, and then having to read this comments section is hard because we're so alive to the moment, as actors, as theater makers, and I'm sure the audience kind of misses that too. Well, I'd like to really bring Ken on to talk about the film together. But before I do that, let's take a quick look at another scene in the film where you guys had to work through your differences.
Anyway, first things first. Some COVID ground rules from National Arts Council. Adrian, you are going to have to lip sync. No actual singing.
Whoa, wait, what?
We'll make it work. Even Kip Chan lip sync for NDP.
And you're going to have to wear a mask on stage.
What? Well, then how will anyone see my amazing sibling?
I'll give you a kabuki mask. It'll be fabulous.
I'll kabuki you in a minute.
Now, play nice. Thoughts on the scriptwriter?
Harish Sharma. He also has a cultural medallion. They give those things out like chocolates.
I'm going to have a stroke if this becomes a four-way co-pro.
Ken Kwek. He's freelance.
Ken Kwek is a freelance asshole. I've worked with him. Never again. I don't know how you can stand him, Adrian.
So I guess this is a great time to introduce the person who had the enviable task of working with the three of you. An award-winning filmmaker, notably known for his movies, Family Violence, right? No, sorry. Family, Sex, Violence, and Family Values, I believe. Oh, yes. And Unlucky Plaza. And he also wrote a play that was staged by Pandemonium last year called This Is What Happens to Pretty Girls. And he also has 2 novels under his belt. Shall we welcome director and co-writer Ken Kwek. Hello. Hi, Ken.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Wow, you are in a dressing room.
Yes, I am at Wild Rice.
You missed the theater so much you had to go then.
We are prepping for the sequel. After this, we'll we'll be filming. They don't know it, but yeah.
You've let the secret out of the bag.
With some other cultural medallion director.
That's right.
At the rate we're going, we need to start working on the sequel, guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can I be involved, please? This is an all-male show. I think you need some women. Or maybe we'll just do the female version of this. So, Ken, tell us what it was like working on this film for you, and how did you come to write this very funny script?
I got a call from the Lu Foundation. No, I got a call. I got a call from Adrian, actually. Adrian and I have worked together for many years on many projects, and we are fast friends. I've also had the privilege and of working with both the other theater companies on other projects. So we're all friends, really. Adrian called me up and said, look, can you be the patty in the middle of this 3-bun sandwich? So he said, so I said, what exactly is this sandwich? And he said, well, it's a pretty, we don't have it, we don't have anything set in stone, but it's going to be a meta narrative where we play heightened versions of ourselves. So that was the brief, and then I went away and came up with an initial draft. And really, I think the making of the film was all fun and all pleasure, but the scripting was tricky because working with 3 different theater companies is not a question of having to deal with 3 different egos per se, but dealing with 3 different entities that have very different sensibilities. I mean, that's why they are 3 different theater companies, right? How do you then create a narrative where everybody's wants are met, but it's also, I think, I said this to Adrian right from the start, in and of itself, it should be, it it should be a document of what theatre is going through during this pandemic. So, 10, 20 years, when we look back on this, we'll have a snapshot of what it was like to be a theatre practitioner during the COVID crisis of 2020. And also it has to be stand alone on its own as a good piece of work and comedy that will appeal to audiences, and not just for the sake of raising funds. So I think after the first draft, everyone read it and everybody loved parts of it, but also had incredibly raised eyebrows at different other bits of it. And it was about getting the tone of comedy right. I think I'm a naturally very acerbic and yes, a very acerbic writer, and I don't pull my punches. But and actually, this goes to the heart to one of the themes of the film, which is, if your theater company was commissioned to make a toilet musical, would you do it? And in these difficult times, is it right to take the piss at doing something that's very public service, propagandistic, or as theater companies, do you stick to your artistic integrity and idealism and continue to tackle the hard issues? And we had that discussion. I think we had the discussion as like, would you? Well, in this time,
So
it's
what were
not.
the answers?
It's not so clear cut. It really isn't. Personally, I wrestled with it for a while, but in the end, I said it's difficult for me to do. I don't think I could do it. But I don't run a company. I'm a freelancer, right? And if I am a theater company that has mouths to feed, jobs to keep, I think it's a different equation altogether. So I think the different artistic directors had different levels of sort of comfort on the level of satire and how much we can the idea of a musical that sort of trots out the usual public service messages, anodyne messages about washing hands and things like that. So that became
would
like
Pandemonium. Would Pandemonium do it? Toilet musical.
All right, here we go.
Did you in town last year?
What? Sorry, I didn't
You were
hear
ready
you.
for that one.
Did you in town last year?
Oh yes. Wild rice.
Gaurav has disappeared.
Gaurav is like, I'm not having this conversation.
No. I mean, this is why Wild Rice funding is cut, right? I mean, this has
They
been.
wouldn't do the toilet musical.
I don't know.
No
I mean,
love of country.
I mean, you always try, but then again, you always try and, I don't know, how do you then do the toilet musical, right? So this is the question for us. If you had to do it, how would you do it? And there was Ivan, the character, trying to insert a kind of, political, artistic kind of, narrative, try to reclaim the narrative from the powers that be. So it was. So I think this it was a moment that was satirized, but it's like, how do you can do these works, and but how do you tackle them from an artistic point of view, right? How can you use it to say something that is, more than just propaganda?
Yes. So that's a good point, and that's really what Wild Rice has always been about. But
Yeah.
SRT, would SRT do toilet musical?
I think at this particular juncture, if it raised money to help us pay the rent and pay our staff, we would do anything.
Yeah, and I would also totally, absolutely understand that and totally respect that. You see, and that's the thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think what everybody, and I can see from the comments, I think what everybody appreciated about the film was that for whatever it was worth, tackling quite a serious issue that all the companies are in right now, it had a great amount of levity and lightness and the humor and the fact that you were just sort of like so game to laugh at yourselves and at the stereotypes that you had to play of yourselves, I think was really wonderful and gave a lot of heart to the film.
Yeah.
There's a question which came up, which I kind of also had the same question myself, which is how do you come to choose the song Circling Square? Am I right?
Ken Kwek.
Circling Square was in my mind right from the start. It was just I knew that if we were going to take the piss and like have people laugh and have a good time for 20 minutes, the film still needed an ending that had heart. Circling Square, and here I would like to give a shout out to Leslie Lowe and the members of Humpback Oak for very generously allowing us to use their song in our film. It was for me an inspiration in the writing of it. I felt that the lyrics of the song speak for themselves, but of course the idea of the circle seats, the square of the theater, all its symbolic implications, as well as the idea of what the Ivan Heng character says in the film about squaring the circle, which is really trying to do the impossible in a time of crisis. And so the song was pivotal, I think, in the creation of the story. For me, right at the start, it was the ending that I was shooting for, but how we navigate the story and how we pitch the level of comedy and satire without sort of like being a crowd pleaser, but at the same time also asking, I think, deeper questions about how much do we value art, and is it how much do you value art even in a time of crisis? That was kind of the theme and the question that we wanted to keep in the background, even as these three Corona amigos were at each other's throats, lah. Yeah.
Yeah, I had not heard the song before.
Yeah.
But even the short set of lyrics that Adrian sang at the end, it hit home straight away. The melody was great as well. But what I felt was, it really sort of like succinctly captured what all art makers, theater makers do, which is we will find a creative way out of this. We will create our way out of this. We will make the square the circle or the circle the square. Either way, we will survive.
And I mean, when I read the script and Ken sent us the MP3 file, I mean, I played that song over and over and over again because I think the other part of the song that is so resonant is for us as artists is that, it's a calling. I'll wait for you till you send for me. Whenever that time is right, I'm here waiting. And this is what we do, right? As writers, as artists, as people that we sometimes need to just sit and wait for the moment and wait for the time till we are sent for. We are nothing more than messengers, Yeah. And I think this really moved me very, very deeply. Yeah.
There's another question from the comments about the National Theatre and the icon of this iconic building. How did that come about in the script, and what does it mean? Why did you choose that as the set?
That was Ivan's idea. That was Ivan's idea, and hence his green screen backdrop. I had the idea that the set that he creates is this outlandish Shakespeare in the Park toilet, where it basically is a shot through the budget set that his character wants to insist is a toilet when clearly it's just an overpriced theater space. But that's of course just a joke. And once Ivan planted the idea that it should be the National Theatre, as in the old National Theatre, then I think the idea behind it had a certain metaphorical significance, which then felt like, okay, this is interesting. How do we shoot it? We'll have a wonderful props designer, Joyce Gunn, built a small model of it, but we won't show it. We won't show it throughout that big showdown scene between the three guys at the end, and then finally reveal that the idea behind the toilet was actually not so much just an obsolete and now demolished theatre building, but a symbol of Singapore's national theatre, as in the theatre that these three companies are a huge part of creating. And I should add that there are scenes peppered throughout the film where you see the crews of the different companies doing their work, walls of posters of the stuff that they've produced in the past, just hundreds of productions. And there's one shot where the production manager Charlene of SRT has removed all the brochures from the wall of shows that have been cancelled, and that wall is in the SRT theater, and it has shows that aren't just the shows of these three companies. There's ballet, there's SSO shows, there's shows that were going to go up at MBS. So it is the idea that the whole industry is being decimated at this point. Yeah, so I think it was always about having enough of these bits of symbolism that you can probably just think about more after you've watched the film. But while you're watching the film, you're just enjoying the comedy of these three guys and their partners going at each other. And speaking of which, I really do want to tip my hat off at Adrian for helping me write this piece, because he was responsible for a lot of those zingers that are in the dialogue between the three leads. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And actually, there is a missing key supporting actor here, which is Tracy Pan. Is she behind the scenes holding the strings of you? Hi, Tracy.
Yay.
Is she
What a
pouring the
wonderful job. Somebody says I like Tracy in the pitch. In the pitch. Maybe it's a nano part, yet she injects loads into.
It's not a
character.
nano part.
No, it's not a nano part. Can you share? Yeah. Go ahead, Ivan.
No. I mean, it's very interesting because, Tracy, Charlotte, and Tony, well, I'll let you all go and watch the movie, and then you all go and decide what is the role they play, because basically they are the ones that basically talk back to the artists.
Yeah, I think it was really wonderful. They were your business partners / real life partners were the anchors, the anchors in the film.
Yes.
As were and of course, in contrast to all the humor that the three of you brought, to like Ken says, to really see the team who are working behind the scenes and still keeping the office, the theater going was, really sort of grounded this humorous look in something that's really real that everybody is going through. I wanted to ask the three of you, how has been the response so far for you to the film, your audiences or your sponsors or your supporters? Have they given you feedback? How has the fundraising gone?
I mean, I think, to be honest, if I speak for all three of us, the response has been stunning. You know, we've received such beautiful messages from so many people, and from not just from Singapore as well, from all different parts of the world who've managed to see it as well. You know, and I think it's been greater than we ever expected it would have been in terms of the response, and just knowing that you know, people have our back. You know, and people want us to continue doing what we do, and really want us to succeed through this time. Is very touching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you read the Ray of Hope site, I mean, I find myself going to the Ray of Hope site every night
To get hope.
you know, it's so moving, so touching, just to know that actually we are part of a community, and that the audiences and our support and everyone is just waiting for us to get back. You know, everyone's also there holding space for us. That's very, very, very encouraging. Yeah, very moving. Thank you so much, everybody.
I think it's worth pointing out how terrified we all were the day this was going to launch. Like, we loved it, we enjoyed it, but we had no idea what the response would be. And we were on tenterhooks. So yes, Ivan said, we just have to say a big thank you to everybody for being so supportive and coming together. It's been incredibly gratifying. And you know what's great?
Yeah.
Our teams, our staff, they're really proud of it too, and it's really brought everyone together. So it's been forget the fundraising part. The fundraising part's very helpful, and we're grateful. But really, what it's done in terms of camaraderie and bonding and working together and placing a marker for theatre for when we open, I think it's checked all those boxes.
Yeah.
It was really quite wonderful to see all the credits roll at the end, actually, and then it really hits home the number of people who work very hard behind the scenes, who are not seen when it comes to making theatre.
And that's just our staff. That's not all the hundreds of freelancers that we employ as well. So, you know, there's a knock-on effect that when we close down, it's not just our staff, it's the whole industry that is feeling it.
There were a couple of people commenting, asking how else can they help? How can they help theatre through this challenging period? Somebody suggested maybe, you know, can you sell a subscription to 2021 in advance? You know, what
that? I mean, all three of us are exploring this new arena at the moment of doing work online. You know, and it's very new to us, but it'll only work if we can persuade the public to pay for the work. We cannot keep putting things out for free. And I think this is the new way forward for now. I mean, we all can't wait to move back into the theatre. And that's what we, you know, that's the long-term goal, is moving back into the theatre. But between now and then, we have to keep working. You know, we can't just put a begging bowl out and expect people to give us money. We have to keep working. But if we keep working, you know, our hope is that the public will pay for it. They, you know, they'll go online and they'll pay the dollars that it takes to pay for the work that the artists are putting in.
And over the last few months, I think we've been saturated with such a barrage of online content, and I think to a large degree, we've all become very spoiled, not just for choice, but also spoiled by the amount of content that has been offered for free. And people have come to expect that. But, you know, it costs, even for us to produce something like The Pitch or any online content, it's going to cost us a lot of man hours, a lot of effort, and a lot of money just to put it together. So for us to put out anything more for free, we're just bleeding. We're just constantly hemorrhaging. We just can't do that. So the way the public is able to support us is to let it be a contract between us and the public that we enter into something that is sustainable for us.
I think
Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
I think a very simple thing to all the people who have tuned in and are spending your evening with us, very simple thing to do, please just forward the pitch to your friends. Let them watch it, because it really is, I think what Ken and Adrian have written, and filmed is just, it really encapsulates what we're going through and the fact that we are going to come out fighting. So just forward it so people get an idea of what the entire industry is going through. That in itself, that small step will be a huge help.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Ivan, sorry, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, actually, I don't remember reading anything in mainstream press about the pitch. So maybe that's why it's fine.
I didn't either.
I haven't yet, but maybe let's see.
So I think it certainly needs more eyeballs. There needs to be more eyeballs for this film. And actually, there's a question a couple of people have asked: will there be a sequel? Everybody all putting the hand, their heads in their hands.
Let me read the other question. Let me read the other questions for you.
This is an interesting thing, right? Why do artists collaborate? Or why do theater companies don't collaborate? I think that when theater companies collaborate is because the artists have a question. And the reason why this came to be was because we were trying to make sense of this time. Do you know what I mean?
Together. So you were trying to make sense of it together.
You see? So and therefore we thought, so let's try and make sense of this together and share this experience. And therefore, this is the question that erupted. I don't think it's a light sitcom. It's 20 minutes, but it cuts deep. It has thank you so much, Ken. I mean, and the it's done like a film. It's so much. So much has been invested in these 20 minutes. So it's not going to be something that you see, every day, because I think we gave it our all, and we are struggling with the questions. So we still have some more questions, and right back at you, Ken. And, we don't know if there'll be. I don't know.
Well, in one of the comments right now, Charlene Lim says, "Well, maybe you might make a film when theaters reopen to celebrate." And that's quite a nice and charming idea, right? Because there have been also a lot of people who have stuck with us and sort of cheered us on on the side as we go through this. And one day when there is some sense of like normalcy and people can come back to the theaters again, maybe we'll do another film.
Yeah, no. When the theaters reopen, we will not do another film.
Yeah, of course. Can I audition for that show, please?
The sequel will be live.
Yeah.
The sequel will be live.
Live musical, all singing, all dancing.
That will be our next celebration.
Well, on that note, we have come to the end of our talk back. Thank you so much, Ivan, Gaurav, Adrian, and Ken, for spending your hour with us on this talk back. This collaboration between the three companies is undoubtedly a first, but hopefully it won't be the last, and hopefully it'll be live the next time. To everyone who has been watching at home, on your screens, online, participating, asking your questions. I'm sorry we couldn't get through everything, but thank you so much for staying. Once again, the film can be viewed at thepitch.sg, and the website also has a link if you'd like to contribute something towards this joint donation drive. As Ivan put it so nicely when I talked to him about this film, he says it is a love letter to Singapore theatre and the community of people who bring stories to life on stage for us in Singapore. It was made independently without any government grants. So if you enjoyed it, please like it, please share it, and please consider donating if you can. Your donation will help these 3 companies sustain themselves through a very challenging period, which in turn will also help secure the livelihoods of hundreds of freelancers whom they work with every year. So we will continue to keep a light on in our theatres while we wait for our audiences to return, and we hope you will also hold space for us in your hearts. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Tracy, for joining us. On that note, keep well, everybody. Stay safe.
You, Janice.
Everybody.
And good night. Good night, everyone.
Lots of love.
Take care.